must respect the... Well, first of all, we all must respect the African Union as an institution that brings all African countries together. So this was the 49th session of the Executive Council. And as you know, this year the theme has been around water and sanitation. So we were here to review the progress in terms of to what extent have we seen implementation of that critical theme. You know, there are about over 400 million Africans who don't have access to clean water, and about 700,000 who have lack of clean water and also lack of sanitation. So it is a crisis that needs to be addressed. So this gathering was very, very important, and we were also receiving the report of our permanent representatives, where they had covered a lot of things that relate to the governance of the African Union, the programs as we go forward, and even the budget proposition as we move into the next financial cycle. So this was very important to us, because you cannot have a successful war against disease if there's no water, if there's no clean water. That is really the core. Okay, so it's so important that African governments, African people make sure that the investment around water and water infrastructure is absolutely essential.
As you mentioned, Your Excellency, the theme for this year is safe water sanitation. So the issue of climate change has also been raised. How do you reflect upon that, and as well as utilizing African resources by African citizens?
Well, it's very important, because, first of all, if we destroy our environment and the full effects of climate change come in, then more and more people are going to lack essential commodities like water. So it's absolutely essential that there's an integrated process, a holistic look at this challenge, how to make sure more people get water, and also how to protect our catchment areas, how to make sure that global warming is not destroying our opportunity to have more water for more people, and also how human settlements are handled, because this will lead to degradation of critical water towers on the continent, and we could have problems. So all this is so important, and this gathering is speaking to the lives of 1.5 billion people in Africa.
Your Excellency, the implementation of Agenda 2063 has now been more than a decade. How do you see a meeting like this contributing towards Agenda 2063?
I think it's important, because each country, as we look at the performance in terms of the outlook of how countries have performed on the various key milestones within the framework of the Agenda 2063. There are some that have done very well, some sectors that have advanced, and there are others that need to be relooked at again. We still have to do a lot of work around aspects of infrastructure, around connectivity. You know, if I take, for example, just the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, inter-African trade is at 17%. Okay, if you compare that to what is happening in the European Union, which stands at about 60%, then you can see we still have a long way to go. But systematically, we are seeing more digitalization, we are seeing more integration, and we are seeing more countries beginning to look at joint infrastructure that will in the long run improve connectivity amongst ourselves.
You've mentioned that reports were being reported here.
Well, for now, I think what I would say is that we want to be consistent, particularly in the area of infrastructure growth and development. That's very, very important. And in Kenya, we are investing very heavily in this sector. We are looking at water in the context of neater, cleaner human settlements. And in Kenya, we are implementing a very aggressive program of affordable housing in our urban areas, because when we see the projections, we are seeing that by 2050, in Kenya, for example, about 60% of our population will be living in urban areas. So there's going to be need for water, need for decent and affordable housing, need for proper sanitation. So as we look at what is being discussed here, I can see that the programs that are being undertaken in Kenya are targeted towards the right direction.
At the United Nations 18th General Assembly, we've heard Kenya has transformed its health sector. What is your message to the watching this, the outcomes of this summit, how they impact their lives?
Oh, health is absolutely important. In Kenya, we target to achieve universal health care. That means every Kenyan in need of health care or attendance should be able to get it supported by the government. And this is why we have a very elaborate universal healthcare program where we are enlisting more and more Kenyans. Today, under the social healthcare program, we have enlisted about 32 million Kenyans who have enrolled and who now can have access to government-supported medical care. All right, so this is the kind of campaign that I would say needs to be done. But you need to blend it with technology, digitalization, have correct data, and then you can, and then have the resources that go into it, and you'll have the right thing. I also want to point out that Kenya has now been taken as into the first tier of the African Union. As they are, now will become the 8th. There'll be 8 states that are in tier 1, and basically the whole issue is that it's a recognition of the growth of Kenya's economy, and as you grow bigger, the expectations of become bigger and greater, and therefore we also have to contribute at a different scale. The African Union joining other African nations, because President Ruto is also spearheading the agenda of the African Union, and one of the most critical aspects of this reform agenda will be the new finance, which is being crafted by the team of Kaberu. Okay, and President Ruto is leading this agenda. It's absolutely essential that African countries take that reform proposal seriously, because the geopolitics now means that the interest around Africa is going to diminish, and we cannot have an African Union that is dependent on external funding.
Sure.
We have an African Union that stands on its own feet, relying on its members to do the heavy lifting of resource mobilization and funding activity. All these good programs will require implementation, and implementation pinned by a strong financial base. And the reform that we are looking at in terms of the architecture and so forth must also be a reform that is reflected in the contributions around the African Union.
Exactly. That Africans should fund themselves, and we've just heard Burundi implement levies in its own national revenue to fund the African Union. Has opened the floor to invite African countries to do the same.
Yes.
What is your insight?
It's part of the model that is being championed within the framework of Kaberuka's team. And as part of the one planks about the reform of the African Union. So there'll be, because for instance, if I were to give you a very quick example, establishment is about 3,000 people. But the African Union is functioning with just about 50%. Which means there are so many other programs that are not moving because we don't have the resources to move ahead with the implementation program. So this is a very critical thing.
For my last question, Your Excellency,
yes.
Ethiopia and Kenya share a long-standing friendship rooted in deep historical and diplomatic ties. How do you see that relationship continuing to shape cooperation between the two countries going forward?
It's very important. It's historical, and it's going to grow stronger. I'll give you an example. We are already working together on the LAPSET program with the government and people of Ethiopia. We plan to have the port of Lamu expanded, and it then joins. We have invested the infrastructure, and it's both tarmac and later even one rail, so that it will connect into South Sudan, and then it will also connect into Ethiopia, so that we can provide an additional access to the sea for Ethiopia through Lamu. Okay, so that is why it's called LAPSET. It's a program that involves Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Kenya. So this is very, very important. Now, the other thing, we have already signed power supply agreement from Ethiopia, so that as you generate power from your dams, your hydro projects, we should be able to purchase some of that power because we don't have as hydro, so we are purchasing some of that. The transmission lines have been built so that we get power from Ethiopia into Kenya, and we see some of those power lines taking it even into Tanzania. So you can see this relationship is going to become very big because our economies are becoming integrated. We now have the third one, which is significant. Safaricom. Yeah, that is one of your big investors today. In Ethiopia. It's the second mobile operator. Okay, that is a very big investment, and it's an investment that is coming because Kenya and Ethiopia have good working relations, both politically and economically.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. You're very impressive. Thank you very much.